Hey, if it's not already known, I've been a big fan of the Halo games for a very long time. It is easily one of the most influential stories that I've been lucky enough to discover, play, watch, and even read. For me, what makes this franchise really stand out is its themes of perseverance, of grit, and of will. But none of it would have a leg to stand on if it wasn't for its lore. And today, we're going to be talking about why it's just that important to the franchise. What is lore? Lore is what gives the world its depth. It's what makes a Spartan surviving a fall from orbit plausible, and it's what makes one single spore the most terrifying thing in the universe. If it wasn't for lore, and good lore at that, the story of a super soldier and his AI counterpart saving the galaxy would not have lasted as long as it has. But what happens when that lore is misused? With lore comes an integrity, a rule set created through reality and time. The unfortunate problem with having such an expansive, galaxy-wide story is that it can often be hard to manage. When there are multiple figures in different forms of media creating their own story, you're bound to find errors or inconsistencies when jumping from one form of media to the next. Even the next installment in that same media can have dramatic shifts. While as much as I would love to have a completely streamlined story without errors and continuity, I think we have a nice trade-off where we have multiple authors adding to the melting pot that is the Halo universe. It's the voices, text, thoughts of 1,000 souls, poured into a vessel to create something together, and I think that's a beautiful thing. The issue of lore does not lie in its inconsistencies, but in its treatment. Lore requires a certain tact when new information is given to the viewer, reader, or player. For it to be respected, it must be implemented in a way that makes it feel like it was warm to the world, that it was always there. Of course, these rules can be bent, even broken. From a creative and thematic standpoint, it's often encouraged to do this. It gives the timeline the spice it may direly need. However, this is not what we are talking about. What we're talking about is when information is implemented with brute force, when it has no depth, no substance, when it was specifically implemented to justify the existence or change of something. Some of these changes are known as retcons, like when Halo 4's art style was used as a way to introduce new phenotypes of different species in the Halo universe, which I personally like and would hope to see again so long as it can conform with the art style of Infinite. Another retcon is using the, at the time, obscure concept of nanotechnology as a way to explain Chief's drastic armor change. I think that it fell short in comparison to the former because it did not have much elaboration on it at all. And nanotechnology was something that was completely alien to the games and only had a few short mentions in the books at the time. But other changes or additions don't really have a name for what they are at all. One example is when a new item in the shop has a respectfully lukewarm 2 to 3 sentence explanation to justify why it's there and why you should purchase it for a currently obscene price. That is not a retcon, but an addition that doesn't necessarily exist to expand the world as much as it exists for you, the player, to have something to purchase. And while it may not be a problem now, years and years of these shallow additions will only serve to bloat its world rather than enrich it. Finally, and I think that this is possibly the most unfortunate loss of the three, when the lore is not represented or even outright rejected in the games. Halo probably holds the title of having some of the most underutilized lore in its video game format because of its lack of visual representation of the universe's capabilities. The books are so rich with feats and concepts that just don't make it into the games. And when there are opportunities to shine on just what the Spartans or any other race can do, it falls short and even negatively impacts the perception that we have on these characters. But let's talk about when lore is done right. When we have all the resources, thematics, and lore working together harmoniously. I would say that, as of recent, the opening fight sequence between Master Chief and Atriox is some of the best work that Halo can show off. Without going too in-depth, it does a great job of showing Chief's strength and accuracy and Atriox's superior ambush tactics and systematic way of defeating the Chief, earning his place as a worthy antagonist to the story. There is really something special about having all of your rules and set pieces culminate into something thematic. Atriox is seen as someone intimidating because we know what a Spartan is capable of, what the Master Chief is capable of. And in his brutal defeat, we now see what Atriox can do, what he can take, and what he can give. But this is just a small example. Halo is full of countless experiences where the story, the ideals, the cinematography, the characters, the world, the history, all of it works together to show us something that is nuanced or we may have never even seen before. All of that is built and created off of the foundation of a truly solid lore telling. So, what can we do to make the most out of what we have added as of Halo Infinite? For starters, in our next title, prioritizing lore over cosmetics is a must. There are some wonderful armor sets that have been added throughout all the Halo games, but many of them are completely overshadowed by the classics because they weren't able to make a name for themselves. Consider creating a sort of pyramid of items, and value them not by arbitrary rarity, but by how they are earned and what they represent. Achilles, Recon, Haunted, Helioscryll, items that when worn demanded the server's respect and even a little intimidation. Items that had stories behind them, made by the creators and by the experiences of what it took for those players to earn them. I'd love to get more in depth on this chart, but since it's not exactly what the video is about, we'll visit it another time. The point is that lore can be a great tool for making a cool armor set into something legendary. The same for weaponry and even equipment. Second, and finally, visual representation. Showing off as much lore as you can in cutscenes. Show us why these characters we are introduced to matter. Show us why these equipment items are worth using. Show us what a Spartan can do, what a Brute can do, what this world is capable of visually. I'm a massive fan of the games, but have only ever read a couple books. That being Contact Harvest, and right now I'm halfway through Cryptum. Just those two books alone expand so much on the universe, both visually and thematically. The rise of Fortitude, the passing of the torch in a ruthless fashion between Maccabeus and his nephew, the landscapes and life of the Forerunners and why the Didact is the man he is. The tapestry of strength, violence, love, will, and terror that has been weaved into these pages shows us what we, ourselves, can see as we play these games. It's nothing short of incredible. The world of Halo proves time and time again that it's the little things that matter the most. It's also important to mention that although I am saying things about thematics and other aspects of storytelling, the prerequisite to a good story, a good character, and even a good weapon or armor is lore itself. A Spartan doesn't survive a fall from space without their augmentations in armor. An arbiter holds no title without its gilded past and scarred present. And a parasite, something innately terrifying even though much of it is still unknown, somehow grows even more nightmarish with every new piece of information we receive. It's lore. It's a little thing, and it's what made this world my favorite to visit over and over again. That was Halo, It's the Little Things. Thank you for checking this out. This is the outro for the video. I actually don't have a script planned for this one just because I like talking normal whenever it comes from the heart. This is the second time I've ever done a video essay type work, and it was originally going to come out a lot sooner, but I really wanted to make something that was a lot shorter. The first video came out to be around 22 minutes. I wanted something that would be a lot lower than that. I'm really looking to get under the 10-minute mark. If I can, I can. I don't know how long I've been recording this for. I want to say I've probably done it for 8 or 9 minutes. But if nothing else, I'm very glad that this video got out. I hope you enjoy it, and I really want you to criticize it. I want you to knock it if you can. If you can, you're gonna be able to. This thing has a lot. It's duct tape and bandages for this one. But yeah, this is the first one I'm doing on Halo. I'm sure I'm gonna have more I'm gonna do for Halo. I got plenty of ideas for them. But until then, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again.